Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Three Dads and a Console. We know not every dad can stay up to date on the latest and greatest in video game news that you need to know about, so we are here to do it for you. Remember, this show is kid-friendly, so no earmuffs are needed. Now on with the show. I am the Illuminous Wabba Plays alongside, you can call him big, you can call him mean, but don't call him late for dinner, Pez.
What's up? What's up, boys? I say boys because Court's already in chat harassing us at youtube.com/3dadsandaconsole.
From 5,000 feet up in the sky.
It's all
international, Mr.
It's
Worldwide.
all because his daughter turned off his game to play Dreamlight Valley.
So
he's taking it out on us.
He's like, I'm stuck in a place. I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me.
He's taking it out on us.
Yo, Court, can you tell the people on the play? Can you give them the Wi-Fi code and get them in here?
Yeah, get them in.
Be like, you got a phone, right? You got YouTube?
Yeah, you got.
Send to us on youtube.com/3dadsandaconsole.
You guys got phones?
Just go to the guy next to you and be like, hey, you like gaming news?
Hey, I heard you like gaming. You've been watching me play this game.
I see you looking over my shoulder.
Yeah. Fun story. You want a fun plane story?
Oh, yeah.
When I flew to Buffalo, when I flew to Buffalo, it was a quick 45-minute flight.
What a place.
Yeah, what a place. 45 minutes. Skip across the pond. I
drive farther to work?
I busted out the Steam Deck close to it at my old job. Yeah, I busted out the Steam Deck, and me and the dude next to me, we had a 20-minute conversation about the Steam Deck and video games. And the one thing I regret not doing is I didn't give him my Twitch name.
Rookie
mistake. But it was great. It was cool to and he bought me a drink on the plane.
Oh, there you go. Insta friend.
Yeah.
Is he a Buffalo fan traveling? Was he going to the game too?
He was traveling home to Buffalo. He wasn't a football fan. But we chatted a bit about football, and then it was mostly video games. We talked about Dave the Diver. We talked about Baldur's Gate 3. He bought me a beer, and yeah, it was great.
My favorite is when I was on the plane, I'd bring my Vita, which I can't do as much anymore because the case I have looks like a pew pew case. So I would always get pulled aside by TSA to show them what it is because it's a heavy duty case. But I would always notice people watching me and behind the row. So you know what I did?
What'd you do? What kind of lewd anime did you turn on?
No, okay. Well, first off, I learned there's a lot of games I have that I can not play in public.
Yeah.
So that's one. Do not play Criminal Girls on a plane. But I would turn down the brightness and go away, so they had to suffer. Nice. I didn't want them watching me play. Oh man, Killzone or whatever.
They didn't want too much Galgun on the plane to really get over it.
I'm just saying there's not a lot of games on the Vita that you can play in public.
Not on your Vita.
Yeah, I mean the fact that the backgrounds actually are Persona 4. So each screen when you scroll has a different one. And of course, Risei is on the top when you have to, flip the page. God, good. But I know, speaking of Persona, and also because Court is not here, and this is the point where he turns off the podcast, a new game just came out called Persona 3 Reloaded.
Nope,
and
that's not what it's called.
What is
it? It's called Persona 3 Reload, which I hate, by the way.
No. I love those names.
Why?
But Persona, so the best is when they're in Japanese. So it's Persona 5 Tactica. Persona
I like it.
5 The Royal. I
don't like
Persona 5 Scramble.
I don't mind that. You know what I don't like? Because no one, and maybe this is just a Western thing, no one would just say everyone would call it Reloaded. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But because it's just Reload, exactly, you did. But because it's just Reload, I feel like it just needs more. Tactica, I get, but they called it Persona 5 Tactic.
Well, it's tactical. So in the US, it's tactical. Oh no, it is Tactica. They kept it. Never mind.
Persona 5 Tactica. But if they called it Persona 5 Tactic, it would sound weird. Tactica, I feel
Final Fantasy
fine.
Tactics.
Oh, God,
that's what they're
Final
going
Fantasy.
for. Nerds.
Absolute dorks.
So you have played some Persona 3 in the past, yes?
I played P3P. Yeah. Persona 3 Portable, but not the actual Persona 3 of yore.
No, I shout out. No, I didn't play the original one, and I'm glad because the iterations that came after were way better. Speaking of on a plain Vita, that's where I started my playthrough of Persona 3 Fest. So have you tried the new Persona game that came out yet?
Yeah, I played about a hour and a half, 2 hours of it.
So you basically haven't played it yet.
No,
No,
not
I'm
yet.
kidding. This one actually
No, you're
ramps up
right.
a little
No, I
faster in
haven't.
the beginning.
Yeah, I
But what are
mean,
your thoughts on it so far?
so shout out to the Steam Deck because I can jump on my xCloud and play it in my living room.
X-Boy.
Yep, I'm an X-boy, but not a crying X-boy that we'll talk about later. Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's fun. It's the art style is beautiful. I like that it's kind of gloomy and the beginning is a little. I think what you said was correct. Like it kind of throws you into it early. Like you get off the train or plane or whatever you're on in the beginning, immediately you see like blood and coffins everywhere.
It's a monorail.
And mono means one and rail means rail. Just a little Simpsons lesson for you.
I got worried when you broke that word up where you're going. You know what? You're right. You are right. That is
right.
factual.
Listen,
that's all we're gonna say
Lyle
about
Landley may have steered Springfield wrong in the purchase of a monorail, but I never will steer you wrong, listener. So it's okay.
If
It
you
is
are
okay.
under the age of 25, you don't understand.
Listen,
You just-
what's that spell? Monorail.
Oh.
What's that sound? Monorail.
Monorail.
Oh, what a
Oh,
great episode. Probably top 5 Simpsons episode of all time is the monorail
True.
episode. Anyway, yeah, I enjoyed it. Again, I haven't been able to really dive into it between work and doing some stuff for Three Dads. I haven't had a chance to really get my hands wrapped around it because to really get really judge a Persona game, I would say you need at least 15 to 20 hours in it. At least because then by that time you're caught up with 80% of your companions. You're kind of into the story, into the combat mechanics, and then any like defining mechanic of that game, you're already doing it. But I think the art style is great. I love what they're doing, like with this Persona 5 style, kind of art style that all these other games are now getting. Yeah, I'm excited to play more of it. I love Persona anyway. Yeah, it was great. I want to know what you think about it because you're the Persona man.
Yeah, I have a lot of recorded footage, so I'm gonna make a video on this. I made sure to do the beginning before I got like in too deep because this game is great. So I played Persona FS. So first off, I picked the male main character on the PlayStation Vita, which that took me a lot of time to figure out which is like the canon route. Also interesting, I'm pretty sure female main character, and again, this isn't spoilers because it's in the intro cutscene. They do foreshadow things, but you don't know it yet because you haven't experienced those things. But I'm pretty sure I saw the female main character in it, which is kind of cool. So hopefully she pops up. But it's amazing. So yeah, you're right. It does. They gave it the Persona 5 like skin, which again, that is very good. I also think that type of animated style has a lot of like staying power. So it does not look dated. Even though, Persona 5 came out, a few years ago. I think that art style is just like you won't think, oh man, this game looks old for the graphics. It's not that style of graphics. So first off, visually looks very good. I played on the Vita up until I got to like the first like combat section. It's in a place called Tartarus. Tartarus is kind of like a main hub mode where you go and fight bad guys and you level up and stuff. And it was at that point that I'm like, man, this game feels old. And I just played Persona 4. I had already played, I think, had Persona 5 the original come out by then? Even if it didn't, it was like going back in time. Where I'm like, it's like Persona 4, but worse. So I didn't really play much more of it. And it just really felt that way. I love the art. I thought, I connected with the characters. Obviously, the story was great, but that was about it. And also, too, I feel like it was tough to convey. Maybe I'm just like small brain. The story and what was going on. I felt like I understood it more in this.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's because it makes more sense in like 3 dimensions or because they just changed it up a little bit. But again, I don't know what changes took place, so it's kind of cool going in fresh. I love the story so far. So in the other ones, there's a lot of like backstory and you have to like experience things. In this, you actually get into kind of like the action right away. And one of the awakening scenes, like really cool. Way cooler than 4. I think it could, but like the way to summon your persona is by using a gun called an evoker. and the character has to put it against their head.
Yeah, it's
And
it's
it's
very
crazy.
yeah, it's very crazy. I was actually wondering because I remember playing Persona 3 Portable, and obviously it's the same way to call in your persona. If that was still gonna stand like when they remade this game, or if they would change it, and I'm glad they didn't, because that is just part of that story. But yeah, it is quite quite a visual image for those that aren't expecting it.
Yeah, like there's every persona has like a time where like baddies are afoot. So in Persona 4, it's like the midnight channel. For Persona 5, it's like you have to go into a palace which is full of shadows. In this, there's like it's cool. There's an hour between midnight and like there's like just an hour. And like when like time actually resumes like
Yeah.
12:01.
The dark hour.
And that everybody else is transmogged into a coffin, which means they're safe, but it's still creepy. And people who are not get attacked by shadows and they get like apathy syndrome. I'm not going to go into that because subject matter, but um, really dark themes compared to the other ones. In 4, it's like, oh man, you've got a cop for a father figure, and you got like this little Nanako, like she protect her, and everybody's so happy and nice. Persona 5, you're like this cool bandit robbing buildings. In this, they're like, you're just, it's dark, everything's awful. People just you're expected to do this thing, and the awakening scene is just unreal. And having played the Persona fighting games, again, I don't know a lot about the story, but Persona 3, but I had my like OS moment where the awakening, the Persona, I'm like, I know who that is. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I was like, oh, this thing happened. I know what Persona that is. That's really cool. So the gameplay is great. There's definitely a lot less to do, I would say. I'd say the world map is definitely smaller. There's only a few places you can go, and the places you can go are very compact. Even like the maps, it's like, okay, like one small circle. Like in the other, there was like different like loading sections, like maybe 3 or 4 different sections you could go to. Here it's much smaller, and I don't mind that. They do have a fast travel system, which is great. And one thing they implemented, which I thought was really good, is a rewind system. So when you play Persona 4, there are actual consequences where you can miss out on the true ending, like I did on the Vita. There are also times where you can do something that you don't mean to do. You click and you go and you progress forward, and that actually ends the day. In this, if you do something you don't want to do, like I did, I like hung out with a person. I was like, I don't want to hang out with them. That stunk. You can actually rewind to, and it has auto saves. So that's actually a really cool feature, especially when it comes to like games that some choices matter at certain points in the game instead of making saves or forgetting to make a save. So more RPGs should do that like this.
Agreed.
And then everything else looks great. The combat's great. The personas are all the same, more or less, which I think is kind of funny.
I know, man. They need to like look. I love my man Jack Frost, but it's probably time for a new flock. Like bring in some of the SMT, bring in some like SMT guys, and make it a little new. Because again, I'm 3. If you count like Royal, this is my 4th Persona game, and it's like, yeah, I know who all these guys are. I know what they do. Oh, I have the Pixie. I know it's like electricity is gonna kill her right away or whatever. It's just like, come on, give me some.
Like you kind of know the progression of who to make. Like I made, was it Unicorn, because Unicorn has light damage, or it's not holy. I think it's light, and that does really well early on, and it doesn't have a lot of counters. And then I want to go to Valkyrie, who I need Unicorn to. Like it's like I know how to. Like you kind of understand, but like that's not a bad thing. And if you got the special edition, which I did not, I'm playing it through Game Pass. Shout out. You do get like kind of beefed up ones, and I think they did a good job with that. In 5, I had like the special version, so I had like Izanagi, like I had like Orpheus and stuff like that. Like I had like I was using these like high level personas I just got for free and just wrecking shop, which was kind of cool for some bits, but yeah, I don't know. The game is fantastic. I love the story. I think it's funny. You do see some of the similar tropes with certain characters. Your Junpei is exactly like your Ryuji, exactly like your Yosuke. Voice is very similar. Your Lover's Arcana is obviously best girl still. I've noticed that at
always.
Shocker.
Wabba has a type, and it's Lover Arcana.
Well, I remember when I told my wife, I'm like, oh yeah, Antakamiki's best girl. She's like, what are you talking about? You're weird. I'm like, you mean I picked the tall blonde girl with green eyes? Isn't that you? And she's like, oh,
shocking.
I guess. Yeah.
Shocker.
Oh, no. But it's interesting too, but I think the characters, like after like the initial few, then you get like this guy who's like a boxer. It's and then you have like this you know, this girl's kind of like ahead of it all, and there's also like this kind of like, I don't know, there's definitely something else going on, and you kind of figure that out in the beginning that like, you know, they're keeping an eye on you, the people who are supposed to be your friends, and then after it's like I'm wondering like, okay, like where's this gonna go? So that's really exciting to me. There's not as much like, it's not kind of holding your hand and dragging you through the story where the other ones do. I felt like the
Right.
other ones, like 4 and 5, it's like, okay, like here's kind of the routine we get into.
Yeah.
Like, you know, this an event is going to happen, and then you have X amount of days. And yes, you do have a certain amount of days until something happens, but like you don't really know where this story is going early. And I appreciate that about it. I'm not saying the others aren't good, but it's definitely a different take, and it's darker, man. Like
It's way dark. It's way darker.
it's crazy. Like,
because like Persona 4, it's like, yeah, these people get murdered, but there's such a you know, you have Teddy, and it's like so like they're getting murdered in like this TV world, but it's so like lighthearted because Teddy's such an idiot and Yosuke is so funny, and then you have, like you said, Persona 5, you're just this like badass phantom. And it's no one's really getting hurt per se. You're trying to change evil in the world by changing people's hearts. And this one, it's like people are sad, man. People are like, you know, taking care of them, not taking care of themselves, and it's dark and it's dire, and you get that right away. This isn't like a big reveal 30 hours in. It's like, again, you get off the one rail, aka the monorail.
Monorail.
And hold on. Oh my god, dum-dums are calling me on Discord. It just popped up on my screen. And they all of a sudden it's like and it's right away. You meet that little kid in the stripe in like the little jail cell pajamas, and it's on like Donkey Kong. And that's it.
Yeah, and also too, so they did replace the full voice cast in this, which I think some feedback has been given, unfortunately, to like them being like, oh, you're not like whatever. But like I remember Ford did that with Chie, and Aaron Fitzgerald was like amazing.
Yes. Aaron Fitzgerald.
Also, they did replace Kanji and Rise in Persona for Dancing All Night, which nobody even picked up on because they did such a good job.
Well, Laura Bailey was probably like, I'm busy.
I know, right? I mean, they used to do it like what's his name? Troy Baker was great in Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah, busy making a small game called like The Last of Us or whatever.
I know, right? Like they did like anime stuff before. Not that there's anything wrong with anime stuff, trust me. But like they did these types of roles before they like blew up in terms of like getting these like super crazy games. So it was like really funny. Like I don't know the original cast, but I do know that the original male protagonist voice actor was he's the police officer who has a store in this.
Oh, interesting.
So they did reuse him, which is kind of neat. And for some reason it was Laura Bailey, the female main character too, and I think that's why I struggled so much in terms of the Pez version.
Oh, I don't know. I never played the Fez version. I only played
Fez. I said, yeah.
I only played P3P, so I'm not 100% sure. And it was so long ago.
Wonder.
And I maybe played it for an hour and was like, "Ooh, I hate these controls. I'm never playing this again." Because I played it post Persona 4 Golden. Yeah. So I was like, "Oh, let's go back and see what's happening."
It's not.
And I was like,
but this is a reason why to go back.
Girl, no. But yes, I 100%. If you're a Persona fan and you want to experience the older titles, this is the way to do it. Like these remakes are the way to do it. And I'm going to piggyback off of this there are rumors now that Persona 2 is going to get remade, and that Persona 2 is going to get a remaster, and Persona 4 is going to be remade. Which Persona 4 Golden like is my baby, because I always have this like I have this theory that like your first Persona is probably always your favorite. But maybe that's just me, and I love Persona 4, and I remember playing it. I played it like 3 times. I rebought it on Steam, and I've been playing it on my Steam Deck. Like I love it. I think Chie is amazing. And man, I kind of am like, don't touch it. I think it's, with the way handhelds are exploding right now, I think it's still a very good game to play. It doesn't feel old. You know, maybe the controls could be tweaked a little bit, but other than that, like the graphical settings don't look, you know, it doesn't look like you're playing a game from like 1995. Because when they redid Golden for Steam, they like kind of gave it some makeup behind it. It still plays really well. And I enjoy it, and maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just old man yelling at cloud, but I'm like, dude, please don't remake that game.
Oh, I want the remake so bad.
Yeah.
I would play it again, and So I tried to I started to replay it. I found out it's off Game Pass, but I did start again. I kind of got into it, and I'm like, oh, like I remember this. This is good. But also too, so I spent a lot of time on that game, like 80. Again, it was a Vita game, so I was playing a lot of. There's also a lot of trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I've had my experience with that game, and going back, it's like you can't kind of get all those hits again. Again, I do
Right.
need to get like the true ending, but like I'm not going to spend 100 hours just to enjoy. I can watch on YouTube. Now, if they remake it, now it feels like a brand new experience, and it's a more current kind of like coat of paint, and like that would get me to play it again. And I feel like if Persona 3 came out like how it was, and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna give it like the treatment where it looks like Persona 4 and Steam, I wouldn't be playing it. But because it looks like how it does, and now it feels like a new game, and they've added some quality of life, like that rewind, a lot of like battle enhancements, and they explain it really well, like all the different controls. You can take advantage of like speeding through it, or you can manually control your players. Great. That's the type of stuff that would make me go back and make me want to go back, because I've had my experience. It's very good. I tried kind of getting into it again. It's just, it does feel dated. It should. I mean,
right.
It's old. It's not. It's not a new game. Even after the golden version, that doesn't mean it's not good. The story again is very good. But to then go from 4, dabble in 3, Fest, then play P5, then play P5 Royal. P5 Royal is fantastic.
Yep.
And now go back to P3 Reload. It's like, okay. And I've played all these kind of upscaled ones in the meantime, the dancing games,
right?
Like, the Tactica, like, it's like, then to go back, it's like, so that think it's really good for a true remaster. And I think based on, the numbers, and especially if they do something like Game Pass, I think you're going to get a lot of people playing it.
Oh, for sure. Persona 2, I've never played it, so I have no feelings either way. I mean, I'll play it. I know I'll play it. That's about it.
The demand for 2, I think, is going to be very low, because was that like a PlayStation 1 joint? No, that was been PS2.
Yeah, PS2, I think.
I don't think, like,
not many people are clamoring for Persona 2. I don't know if many people are clamoring for Persona 3, honestly. But hey, Atlas made it, and they put the nice, they did the quality of life. They put the Persona 5 skin on it. People are going to play it, and it's on Game Pass.
That's where I'm playing it right now.
That's also
I will be buying it though. Yeah, 2 came out in 1999. It's SMT Persona 2 Innocent Sin. So I think it's like the first one they did before they branched them off. I've never played it. I haven't read about it because I don't want to in case something comes out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we'll get some Persona 2 the streets, and I
love it.
But yeah, Game Pass again. I would have bought this game if it wasn't on Game Pass. I'm in too deep to Switch now.
Yep.
I will be buying a physical copy later on though, because I support the games that I want, and I want them to do more remakes and more spin-offs, and that's why I buy every single physical copy that I can, because 1, physical media is dying, don't give it up. And 2, because I think they're going to do awesome.
Don't give it up.
Yeah. Well, they have that new game coming out, like Fantasio. Right? That game looks sick. Metaphor Fantasio, also amazing name. That's coming out later this year, and it's going to probably have the same art style, except it's like medievally future-y stuff. It's going to be sick. And I just like that they're still working on Persona despite coming out with new franchise.
Right.
Like, there's, anime weebs be feasting.
I mean, Persona 6. It's got to be a couple of years. And you know what? Maybe not. When did Royal come out? 2020, 2021? Like 6 could be here soon. You never know.
It's just gonna be my personality now for the next, like, for the indefinite future.
Speaking of making video games your personality, Wabba, there is a big rift among the X-Boys here on Twitter. So for those that don't know, there have been rumors, and we'll find out more next week. So we'll talk about it on the show next week with Court here. But there are rumors that Xbox is bringing first-party games. So the rumor is Sea of Thieves, Hi-Fi Rush, which we kind of knew about before, but now Starfield coming to the PS5, and it has the Green Berets in a Tizzy. I saw a real life tweet from who I believe to be an extremely online man that said, like,
it was me.
Can
No,
you
okay.
believe? Yeah, it was Wabba. He clearly is like an Xbox person, but he was like, "Oh, these people I've never heard of. Like Tim Dog is out, and Rikishi is walking away, and Scotty Too Haughty like had enough, or is questioning Xbox, and it's Wabba as a fan of video games. Has there ever been a moment where you have gotten so upset at your favorite company that you said you wanted to walk away from it?
Walk away, no. I have felt disappointment. Like when, frankly, when Persona games started coming out on Xbox, and now I'm playing it. So I was an idiot. Fine, that's not the first or last time I'll say that. But I don't think I've ever felt that I was so mad that I had to vocalize it in a non like hyperbolic way. Sure, like I feel like
Correct.
we come on here and there are times. Spoiler, we do ham it up a little bit.
Correct.
But I've never authentically felt a certain way like that. And frankly, that's like kind of like not super healthy. It's very parasocial.
Oh,
I think it's okay to have that type of passion and hobbies, but to also be kind of more realistic and understanding about other factors that
yeah.
might
And
be
and
like drive these decisions.
a lot of people are saying like, "Oh, Xbox is dead." First off, Xbox isn't dead because Xbox is Microsoft. And Microsoft doesn't necessarily need to obviously Xbox needs Microsoft. Microsoft doesn't need Xbox, right? So Xbox, I don't think will ever catch up to the popularity of the Sony of the PlayStation, including like selling units. I don't think outside of the 360 they'll ever beat PlayStation in terms of units sold. And even then, I think they lost. I think they lost PlayStation to units sold, the 4 versus the 360.
Mhm.
So Microsoft is looks like that they are now pivoting, and they're saying, you know what, we don't necessarily care about the console, we care about the service. And hey, Sony fanboys, Sony fans, do you want to pay $70 to play Starfield? Do you want to pay $40 to play Hi-Fi Rush? Do you want to pay $70, $60, $70 to play Sea of Thieves? And they're all like, yeah, I do. My friends play it. I want to play it. And they go, cool, man, give us your money. Let's go. Let's ride. So Xbox influencers are being upset because they now feel like that Xbox has turned against them, gone to the dark side. And I find it incredibly childish. And I am a man child myself, 50 shareholder of Nintendo stock. I believe in Big Red. But if Nintendo was like, hey, we're going to put Mario on PlayStation, or we're going to put The Legend of Zelda on Xbox or PC, I'd be like, let's go. Let's
Those are
freaking
brand
go,
new
dude. Let's
statements.
go, right? Because these are, first off, we as gamers can't come on here and talk about how exclusivity is ruining gaming, and then exclusivity is going away in terms of some Xbox properties, and then start crying that Xbox has no exclusives. Who cares, dude? We don't want exclusives anymore. We want an open market, so to speak, of video games. I want to play Hi-Fi Rush on my PlayStation if I want to. I don't want to pay $500 for an Xbox Series X to play Starfield. Like, I just don't. So now it's going to say, okay, well, you don't have to do that. Pay $10 a month, because $10 a month, even though eventually it adds up to being, you're gonna spend that Series X money at some point. You're gonna hit that $500 at some point. You're either gonna say, no, $10 a month is very palatable, I can do this, or you're gonna say, you know what, I'll keep it for 6 months and then maybe I'll move on to something else. Or you'll do what they're hoping you'll do, and you'll forget,
Hmm.
and then it's your gym membership all over again.
I kind of see like the perspective of it. So I remember like when Sony got like super in with like Call of Duty, and they're like, "Oh man, stuff's coming to us first." I'm like, I don't like care. And again, that's like me talking like from perspective. I'm like, why is Sony pivoting to Call of Duty? Like I've never kind of landed that as like I usually think like Call of Duty sports games are like the Xbox
Yeah.
game, and that's how it was. I feel like, in my opinion, at the time, where Sony was more like exclusive niche. Like that's where I could get my like East titles.
Yeah.
And then like I was like, oh, like this is like weird decision, but I feel like Xbox like they're changing their messaging very drastically. And when you do like change management, you have to like basically like socialize it with like the people who are impacted. Sorry, it's not like work stuff, but get over it. But like you can't just like flip a switch. And the fact that they're not even able to control the message right now, and the fact that they're waiting an extra week, I think is even worse. Because when something gets leaked, and again, I'm talking about this from a change management standpoint, like you have to address it right away.
Correct.
You can't wait because now the internet is like dopes like us are able to basically make stuff up. Like, hey, Xbox is gonna come out on your, Samsung Galaxy. They can't stop that. And maybe someone's like, "Oh, damn, it is. I'm gonna go." Like, I don't want to play Xbox.
Right.
Like, so like the fact that like he's like, "Hey, we hear you, and we're gonna tell you about it next week." Why? What, is it true? And you just need to like scramble? Is it untrue? Like, and now you have to prep something? Like, what does that mean? Just tell people. Like, I don't know why you're like hanging it over their head, and now like like, what, you think they're gonna forget about it during the Super Bowl? They're not gonna watch the Super Bowl. They're gonna start like writing stuff about Xbox. So like for them to like change this way, like especially when they're like, hey, we're gonna be like backwards compatible. All our consoles are gonna do that before we take out the disk drive, and then you're not gonna notice it. Like, don't worry, you can play your Xbox games on the new console until we take out the disk drive. Like, they're like, been saying how like gamer friendly they are. And then like how proud we are to be Xbox brand and how we have great exclusives like Halo that didn't land. And then we're gonna buy Activision Blizzard and then lay off the Crash Bandicoot studio. Oof. And which just happened. Like, we're gonna do all these things, so you get all these fans of Xbox getting pumped because they're like, hey, we finally get what Sony has gotten. Sony developed, sometimes bought all these great studios. We're finally gonna get that experience. And now, allegedly, that's being taken away from them.
Yeah. So
I definitely understand that there's a feeling of being let down. Because you've aligned yourself with the brand, which is okay. And I'm not saying that part's not, because it is okay to feel passionate about like your hobbies, especially when they communicate all these different things to you. And just to see the acquisition go in a weird way. Xbox in the past few weeks to months has definitely damaged the relationship with their fan base.
Mm.
They're buying studios, like, which is fine. I'm not saying that's not fine. There's really different messaging there. Oh, by the way, these big games aren't going to be on Game Pass. Okay, that's kind of weird. We're going to lay off a bunch of people like due to redundancies.
That's a bad.
Okay,
that's
people
are
really upset about that, especially like what's going on. And now, by the way, rumors, the games that you bought the console for that you spent a lot of money on, you can get them on your PC. So people are left, one, from a sense of like, again, like the reasons brands thrive is because you can like create that relationship with them. That's actually what you want. When you see those surveys, it's like brands I identify with.
Right.
Fans I feel passionate about. You've done that. You did a great job doing that. People really feel passionate about your stuff. But now you're like, guess what? All that goodwill we built, yeah, we don't need it anymore. You can just go play it on a PlayStation. Oh, you don't have it? Oh, well, maybe. Don't you have computers?
Yeah.
Like, because we're not making a new Xbox in the future. And the fact that nobody even knows if that's true because you didn't tell anyone. You just said, "Yep, rumors came out. We're gonna, we'll hit you up next week."
Yeah, we'll talk about our business strategy next week.
So I think that's where it is, and I know that's like going off on a ramble, a tangent, but again, I can understand and sympathize with these folks who are feeling slighted. I feel like we saw that with like Redfall 2, where people are like, "Oh man, like this game's gonna rock," and then it's like, and I just feel like they used to have a lot of goodwill, and I think they had a lot more goodwill than Sony did at some point.
Yeah.
Especially with Game Pass compared to PlayStation Plus, and it's really a good service. Again, I'm using it for Persona. And then the past several weeks to a few months, they've really, it's really taken a hit. And if this is the announcement that everybody believes it is, frankly, I agree with it. Like, let me get that out of the way. I think that's excellent strategy. It makes sense. I mean, look at all these, like, look at how, like, real estate has happened, like corporate real estate. Nobody wants it anymore because you don't need it. You can have the people do it from home. Same with it. Like, they can work anywhere. Same with games. Why would you waste money developing these consoles when you can just use the other person's console? Like, you can use their house. Like, they can play anywhere. Why does it matter? It's the same thing. Like, let them do the hard work. We'll just sell them games.
Yeah.
And hey, we'll sell them our service too.
Yep.
Maybe we'll up it if you're on a different console. Guess what? You owe us more because we're the Green Mafia.
With the Green
But-
Berets.
Or the Green Berets. But anyway, I agree with the strategy. I agree with the pivot. I can understand how people might feel slighted if they move in one direction, then take a hard right.
Yeah.
And hey, you bought an Xbox this holiday season? Yeah. Tough.
Yeah.
I bought it 2 years ago. I think I got my value though.
I mean, what's the deal with airline food? With change management, it's all about predictability and reliability, right? So A, unpredictable moves. B, now they're not talking to their stakeholders. See, now it's like, now we're talking like adults, which I don't like. But they're not talking to their stakeholders, which are their gamers, not their shareholders, their stakeholders, the people going out buying the games, playing the games, being extremely online like Wabba and I talking about their games. This is all now coming out of left field. Now they're stuck with damage control. So you are 100% right. I get why someone would be upset. Now, if you're upset enough to take a picture snuggling your Xbox and like cryingly kissing it goodbye, that's probably a little much. Settle down now, simmer down a bit, because Xbox isn't going anywhere.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of what Cheese My Onions is like. All of a sudden people are writing these diatribes of like this great console war, right? That's really not happening.
No.
It's like, oh, Martha, I can't believe it. Tim Dog has left the green fields and has jumped on the blue pony. We will never see him again. The soldiers talk about, regaling tales of sadness because Master Chief is going off to Big Red. It's like, dude, shut up. No one cares.
I hope so, because I was pissed when Sony lost Ninja Theory. I think that might have been a time where, when that happened, when they lost Hellblade, when they lost, because that was a launch title. And these nerds at Sony didn't buy the game. Like, oh, why did that happen? And now if I could get the chance to play it again, great. Everyone wins.
Right.
I can play it on, I have the machine to play it on. I prefer Sony. So like, I feel it's a win.
It is a win. It's a win for everybody but Xbox influencers. That's who it's a loss for.
Well, the downside too is if they decide to move out of the console market, one that's gonna basically not force Sony or existing competitors to have to innovate as much.
Right.
So frankly, I think in general, you're going to see slower, you're going to see longer console generations, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think we could have gotten more out of the 4, but I'm happy with where we are now.
These things are expensive.
Yeah.
Like PlayStation 5, what, $500? Your Series X, 400. Your Series S, 250, 300. Like, so, that's a good amount of change. Good chunk of change.
But I think the innovation, because there's not going to be as much competition. If that's the case, I mean, you're competing with Nintendo, which you're not even in the same sport.
You're not.
And there's nobody else. I mean, what are you fighting against? Like, PC and Galaxy VR. Like, there's literally nothing else.
The TikTok, but also the TikTok Asian handheld that they're selling for $699 that has 500 plus games on it.
That's all. I can play Burger Time on it. That's all I care about, and I can play Wario or Lario.
Yeah. You can play Lario's Luds.
But so if Xbox gets out of that market, so okay, now they can dedicate more resources to developing games, maybe develop more studios, create more. But that means all your hardware, your engineers, gone.
Yeah.
Or maybe allocated to Microsoft, but now you're going to see more layoffs because what's an easy way to cut expenditures? Salaries, the first thing. So you're gonna have a lot of impacted roles there, and that stinks. I think again, we know some people that work for Xbox, they seem very happy with their roles, and I think it seems like a very good place to work.
Mm-hmm.
It seems fun.
Yep.
I think it's a lot of people's dream jobs. Whether you do software or hardware, and there's a lot of supporting staff around that, and I think that's really I don't know. I think it's cool. Again, I see a lot of people, especially in PR and stuff like that, work for these companies, work for these developers. It looks like a really fun job. And I would hate for, that type of role to get impacted.
Yeah.
But again, that's and then you have to think about now you're licensing it, you're doing what PC, Sony, maybe some Nintendo, or you're going to now you have to do quality control and stuff on it. So maybe there's, some transferable skills, but I don't know. I feel like if this is the case, it's going to get worse before it gets better. I think overall, in terms of financial impact, it's going to be a very smart decision.
Yeah,
I
for sure.
think it's going to be very smart, and hopefully from that we start to get better titles. They start to be able to work on games for longer, so they get a better result. Because I feel like they haven't had a big even Starfield. And when they say, "Oh, Starfield's going to come to Sony," I'm like, "Oh, why?"
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
great.
I'm not a Starfield fan. But like again, I appreciate the work that was done on that game. It's not a game for me, but maybe we'll start getting more time with some of these because they know they've got a hit.
Correct.
Because our fan base.
Well,
won't,
and now
anymore.
they don't have to rush out system sellers, right? So like, yeah, Starfield was a quote unquote system seller until you played it, and then now it's just like, yeah, Starfield will be ready, man, when it's ready. Like, we don't need to push it for, especially if it's coming on Game Pass. Like, if it's coming on Game Pass, like, we don't need to push it for holiday 2026 or whatever. Like, it'll come out when it's done.
But it's interesting.
Yeah.
And the worst part is we have no idea what's actually happening, and we're gonna look like idiots next week when they come out and they're like, actually, we're not canceling this console. We're coming out with a mobile platform because don't you go phones.
Yeah, we're making the Xbox Series P. It's gonna be a phone. We're bringing back the Microsoft Edge phone, just so you can play. Yeah, the Zune 2, the Zune 2, the Xbox. A fun fact: I had a Microsoft Zune and I really liked it, and I'm kind of bummed it never took off.
Don't worry. They've never had things that haven't taken off. Mixer was really good. I'm glad they're still doing well today.
Mixer crushed it. Shout out to Ninja.
Dude, imagine taking the bag for 2 weeks and then going back to your old job for the same pay.
Unbelievable.
Oh, what a you bankrupt that guy. I mean, again,
it's funny. I have seen people. I have now that Kick has like changed some of their affiliate things, and I've seen people who 6 months ago were bad mouthing Twitch and like, oh, Twitch is awful, I'll never go back. They don't care about streamers, blah blah blah. Go to Kick 90/10. Go to Kick, it's the best. And then they come back, and then now they're tweeting like, you know what? I don't believe in Kick. I'm coming back to Twitch. And I've bitten my tongue. But it's really hard because I want to be like, bro, weren't you the one who's saying like you'll never come back to Twitch? And these are like small streamers, so I'm like, why are you standing one place over the other anyway? They don't care about you. They're wasting money on you, and if they could, they would wipe you off their platform in a minute.
That 70-30 looking nice.
Yeah, but now they're like, oof, give me that 50-50 split, baby. Let's go.
Well, it's if you have a certain amount of subs, it's 70-30.
Oh yeah, that's
three year ago. Wabba will be sitting pretty, but no.
That's not a Pezzy Boi problem. I'll never see that. That is on a golden hill that I cannot climb.
They giving me 20%. That's how.
Yeah, my subs are so low. I give them 20%. I pay them. They're like, you know what? You got to pay us, buddy. You're terrible at this.
So the reason, and again, I know we're just talking about Twitch. So Twitch had like a lot of financial problems where the guy was basically like Dan Klein said, basically like, yeah, like we're restructuring because of this.
Because
it costs so much to actually run a channel, and there are just a lot of channels that I would say there's a lot of varying viewership channels, and the ones that have a lot of people require a lot of like resources, but also the ones that maybe don't, they're still spending like a lot of resources and maybe not seeing that return. So it wouldn't surprise 100%. Me, and again, something like if they started charging like a membership fee if you were like below a certain threshold as an affiliate,
it would not surprise me one bit.
Then honestly, I think that would be, I hate to say it, I think that would be smart, because again, like for me, I do it as a hobby. So like I would be like, if they were like, hey, yeah, $5 a month, great, $10 a month, why not? Like, it might, some people might not think that way, but like I'd be curious to see that, a lot of different,
I mean, there's gonna be a point where Amazon says, hey, we're not fronting this bag anymore, dude. Like, you are now 6 years in the red. You're costing us millions of dollars. And that's going to add up to, at some point, billions of dollars. And, little Jimmy Fortnite kid who's streaming to nobody for 6 months is costing them probably more than, Pokimane when she was streaming to 50,000 or whatever, you know what I mean? Or Sweet Tails who's streaming to 24,000, right? So it only makes sense for Twitch to be like, hey, pay us a monthly fee. If you don't average 10 viewers a month, right? We'll say, I don't know. I didn't do the math. 10 viewers a month, 20 viewers a month. That needs to be your average over 3 months. We waive your fee for a year. But because anyone can get into streaming, you don't need the fancy setup. You don't need the lights. You don't need anything. You could have a console and a crappy camera, and you can stream to nobody, and you are costing that company a ton of money.
Not even that. You could just leave your stream up, no camera, and it's just spending resources. What I think they should do is if you have Twitch Turbo, which is basically like $15 a month, no ads anywhere.
Correct.
Then you're good.
There is your entrance fee to stream.
That's what I mean. Again, I hate like to say, because again, I like that
Dan
anyone can kind of do it.
Get us on the squad, my guy.
I'm telling you, this is free.
Where have you been? This is easy.
Free real estate.
Stop.
This is easy.
This is easy, Dan Clancy. What are you doing, my guy? God, get me CEO of Twitch. Pezzy Boi, CEO of Twitch.
Go into his stream and pitch it. Send him 200 bits so it highlights your message.
I will. I'm gonna send him 500 bits. I'm gonna say this is too easy.
And then send him a bill.
And then I'll bill him. That's right.
$5.
That's right. Intra office mail. I'm gonna bill him.
Oh man, that'd be funny.
Dan Clancy, you clown.
It's funny that you were talking about like the nerds on like Xbox, like the people who are getting really bent about it, because I was looking at this the jerseys behind you, and all I could think it was people burning their Brady jerseys when he left. And it's literally the same thing, just different flavor.
Can I tell you what tweet lives in my head rent free all the time? So when the Maple Leafs it had to have been a couple of years ago now. I'm not going to remember, 2016, 2017, the Maple Leafs were going through this horrendous stretch. We call it first round of the playoffs here in America, but that might be other places, I'm not sure. But they were this horrendous stretch. And someone threw a Maple Leafs jersey on the ice, and some writer wrote, "Seeing this jersey on the ice reminds me of dead soldiers." And I think about that tweet all the time. Like when I'm in my closet picking up jerseys off the floor, I think of that moron. It is my Roman Empire of Twitter. I can't stop. The amount of guff that he rightly and deservedly got was astronomical. And I think about that tweet all the time.
Deep fly ball to right field from Castellanos. It's a 2-run homer.
2-run home run. This guy just got absolutely skewered over a thrown jersey on the ice.
Oh, though people were burning Mac Jones jerseys, which I think is hilarious because
that jersey doesn't mean anything.
Like, yeah, right? Like Mac you already bought it.
Like you're not burning a Tom Brady jersey. You're burning a Mac Jones jersey. The 4th quarterback taken in that draft where the head coach didn't want to take him. You know what? I will send you a jersey with my name on it. Go burn that. That's probably worth more than Mac Jones because I haven't screwed up for the Patriots yet. I haven't brought the Patriots into 2 losing seasons, and I didn't lose my job to some 4th round schmuck named Bailey Zappi. Bailey Zappi isn't even a real name. That's a comic book name. That is a 2nd grader comic book name. And he lost his job to him. Bailey Zappi's name sounds like a bad 80s cartoon superhero who like shoots electricity out of his arm. Like Bailey Zappi in the Electrucia Dads or whatever. Like it makes no sense. And he lost his job, and morons over there on Twitter are like, "I'm gonna burn my Mac Jones jersey." Some guy thought that was a good idea, and then he just gets run out of the building.
Where's Zappy? There's a proud lineage, the Zappy
household
family line,
coming from like where did he play? Like North?
Did he play like Friends University or something?
Yeah.
He had a really weird college.
Yeah, I don't even know.
I'm gonna look it up.
It was like a D1. It was a D1 school. I feel like it wasn't even like a Delaware where like Joe Flacco played. Shout out Joe Flacco.
Oh, he went to Western Kentucky University.
Yeah, all right, Western Kentucky, WKU. Let's go.
I thought someone played it. Yeah, what are you gonna do? Anyway,
it doesn't make sense. Burning Mac Jones. Imagine paying money for a jersey and then lighting it on fire, and then having the gall to post it on social media, like some guy that you don't know in like Idaho is gonna be like, "Hell yeah, brother, burn that Mac Jones jersey."
Like
I hate it. I don't know. I don't understand it. There is nothing Zdeno Chara could do where I would be like, you know what? I'm gonna take this jersey that I paid for that he autographed and burn it. Maybe I'll take it off the wall, but I ain't gonna burn it.
I don't understand buying a quarterback jersey when they're not haven't proven themselves. Like they go. Remember other people who bought Cam Newton jerseys, and again, Cam Newton was fun to watch, but like you don't know what you're gonna get. Like why would you?
Right.
Know whose jersey? I have one Patriots jersey. You know who it is?
It is. I'm gonna guess it is. You don't seem like a Gronkowski lad. It is Julian Edelman.
That's actually one I want to get. It is God,
Aaron
I haven't even
Hernandez?
worn it. No. He actually just retired. I'm trying to think. He was a God. He was a running back. I don't even remember. That's Danny Whitehead.
Danny Whitehead.
Woodhead?
A Danny Whitehead.
Danny Woodhead. Is it Danny Woodhead? I don't even. It was
know.
so long ago.
Danny Woodhead. It is Danny Woodhead.
Yep, Danny Woodhead is a golfer. He's not even the first. Why is he a professional golfer? He played football. Did he change careers? I look at Danny Woodhead.
Yeah,
he's an amateur golfer and former football player. What is this man doing?
My man living the dream, dude. He was like, you know what? Scrub my Super Bowl victory, and I just want to be an amateur golfer.
He's not. So he's listed as an American amateur golfer. My brother, you are a retired football player. You good?
Yeah, my brother.
Anyway, that's a Patriots jersey I have. I do want an Edelman one, but yeah, I got it so long ago that.
Where did you get it? Was someone just handing them out on the corner because no one else wanted Danny Woodhead jerseys? It was like a box full, like a bunch of like a box full of puppies no one wanted. They were just like, someone take. We have Danny Woodhead jerseys that are going to a loving home.
So I liked him because he is my height and size. So it made me very optimistic about my athletic future. And my father-in-law got it for me. So I wore it to the few preseason games I was able to go to. I've never been to a real game though, but can't be said that about the Bruins. But Patriots. The only can we, while we're talking sports, can we just bring up the fact that the Red Sox are willing to show a behind-the-scenes series like Hard Knocks on Netflix? My favorite tweet. So for those who don't know, the Red Sox are like in the middle of the worst
putrid
managed team right now. In like like they're not signing players. They're just not spending money on players. They're trying to do like Moneyball, except there's no statistics.
Can I give you a theory behind this? Can I give you a Pezzy Boi theory? Oh, they are doing this because in 2 years they're going to sell the team.
This is a marketing point.
So they are they are intentionally not spending money. So last year, this year, and my guess is a couple more years. Like the whole Hein Bloom thing was build up the farm system, but it wasn't to trade players. It was so their payroll looks low. So when they go to sell a team, they say, hey, this team is actually really valuable because your payroll is only going to be 125 million. Let's say your expenses, whatever, are 100 million, but look at your revenue. You're the Red Sox. It's 300 million a year or whatever. So I think they're going to try and sell the team. Because if you look at Fenway Sports, and I apologize cutting you off, they now own a NASCAR racing crew. They own the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Which is wild.
And they just invested like $3 billion into the PGA.
What is the Fenway Group going to do if they sell the Red Sox?
I don't know.
They're called the Fenway Group.
They'll still be called the Fenway Group. Fenway Sports Group. And they own Liverpool. Don't forget that. They own an EPL team, like one of the most richest leagues in the world.
Do they still have an F1?
I don't know.
Involvement?
I thought it was NASCAR, but maybe it's both. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe it's both. I'm not too sure on my vroomy vrooms. But yeah,
that's interesting though.
The Red Sox, I think, are going to try and sell the team, which is why they don't want to spend money. And their division is really, really good. The division is really, really good. The Yankees got Juan Soto. The Yankees are loading up. The Toronto Blue Jays are really good. The Toronto Blue Jays are loading up. And Vladdy Guerrero, shout out to MLB 24, MLB The Show 24 cover athlete, Vladdy Guerrero Jr. lost a ton of weight. So I would expect him to hit like 60 home runs now. My man is lean, mean, home run hitting machine. Tampa Bay is always really good they have great pitching. And then the Orioles have a ton of young talent like Adley Rutschman. So the Red Sox are going to get waxed. The Red Sox are in their we call it the last phase of the moon life, where it is completely waxed.
That's so stupid. Sorry. That joke is so corny, and if you don't understand
It's
it, just
so great.
search like seventh grade astronomy.
It's legitimately good.
It's good, but it's not good.
It's
It's so
a great
stupid.
dad joke.
You have to think about it.
Yep.
But it's gonna like an inside look at like the clubhouse, and it's gonna be weird because like again, I think there's a lot of fair criticism whenever they do a town hall. It's like I'm surprised people haven't brought in like tomatoes and cabbage to throw at them like they used to in like medieval times. Like it's a bloodbath, and I love reading about it because every time like people are very candid, and they always have these like PR answers, but like it's a very interesting dynamic that they put themselves in because they have to for season ticket holders.
Yep.
And
Red Sox fans are very passionate, overly passionate, and it was only 20 years ago that they were where they won their first title in 86 years. So their championship runs are relatively recent. What was it? It was 4, it was like 7, it was like 18, I think was one of them. So like there was a few more in there. I honestly can't even remember. 4 is the only one I truly cared about. Which by the way, Netflix is also doing a documentary on the 04 Red Sox. So let's go.
that's
Those are
really fun.
That's my favorite Red Sox team of all time.
I still reference like player. Like I remember I was like, yeah, Orlando Cabrera. Like, dude, the dude's been passed away for 10 years, and you're still talking about him. Like, I don't know.
Still talking about him. So Red Sox fans don't forget, right? So now you go to a baseball game, you pay the highest ticket price. Wabba and I, shout out to the Jimmy Fund, brought us to a Red Sox game. It is the most expensive ticket in baseball. It is the most expensive concessions in baseball. And because the park is historical, they cannot actually touch anything in the park. That's another reason I think they can say like, hey, you can buy the Boston Red Sox, you get Fenway Park, and you don't have to put money into it because it's a historical landmark. Yep. So like you need permission to rip up the seats. So if you don't do anything, you can be, I can't do anything. It's historical. I apologize.
Yeah. And people like want that experience. And I will say this, like, I don't go to many games. Like the fact that we got to do one in Jimmy Fun, like it was still a fun experience, even though in the rain, like you still like the experience is still very good. Yeah. But I think that they definitely need to put a better product on the field. 100%. They do great for families. Like, my daughter loved it. She doesn't know. And they do really cool theme nights too. Like I'm looking at stuff, I'm like, yeah, they got a Harry Potter theme. Like they got like they are a good marketing machine, but man, I wish their on-field performance matched that effort.
Stinks.
My favorite is I saw a tweet from someone quote tweeting the Red Sox where yeah, we're gonna be you're gonna be able to watch our journey on Netflix, and so they go, the Red Sox have a humiliation kick.
Yeah, it's insane, dude. It's like insane.
I can't believe they're doing that.
What is your journey from 4th in the division to 5th? Like what is your journey? Because you're not spending any money and you're not even in on good players. That's the thing. Like Corbin Burns just signed, I think with the Orioles, like they weren't even in on him, and they need starting pitching because they traded Chris Sale. And everyone talks about all these. I'm sorry, this isn't a sports podcast, but I'm in it now.
Well, we talked a lot of games. We talked a lot of serious games, so it's nice to kind of have that dichotomy.
They traded Chris Sale, so he's gone. And then if you look at their farm system,
we're talking MLB the show.
Everyone in their farm system is a position player. So they have no starting pitching in their farm system that's legitimately good. And if you want to break down their farm system even more, they have like the top like 6 of their 10 or no, 3 of their top 10 or whatever are first basemen. How many people can play first base at one time? The answer is 1. Maybe 2 if he's a DH, but you have Rafi Devers on like a 50-year contract, and he's going to stop playing for third base, and he's going to either learn to play first, which I don't think is going to happen, or DH. So, like, you got to trade one of these or 2 of these kids for something good, but they're not going to do it because payroll, money, sell the team.
There we go.
It all comes back.
And that was our MLB the show talk. So we were talking about in a video game.
Bang.
So in case you're wondering how we brought it back, that's in a video game.
There you go. Now court can't yell at us.
Any other feedback for folks? Any other
yes, I have 2 final thoughts. Final thoughts. Be good to yourself and each other. Shout out Jerry Springer. You got me through a lot of sick days in high school, middle school.
Maury.
What do you think ever happened to that guy, Steve? That was his bodyguard, the
Steve
bald guy?
Wilkos?
Yeah.
He had his own show.
He got his own show. He got his own like Jerry Springer type show. I wonder what he's doing now.
I'll look it up while you
Thank you.
go into your thought.
Two things. One, if you fancy yourself a lovely interview, go check out Wabba and I sitting down with Cave is a side quest chat where we talked about his experience speed running tape to tape at Awesome Games Done Quick. It was about a 38-minute interview. There's a lot of stuff in the background, not in the background. A lot of behind the scenes stuff of how someone gets into speed running, but then also how you get into a huge convention like Games Done Quick, and then what that whole experience is like. And then he also talked about the tape to tape community and how supportive both them and the development team over at Electric Triangle. I think that's the dev company. I can't remember, and I apologize.
Square Triangle.
Electric Rectangle, something like that. Anyway, how supportive they have been in this whole process. So go check that out. Secondly, number 2, numero dos, if you will.
Excellent rectangle.
Excellent rectangle. I apologize. Stay tuned to 3 Dads on a Console over on YouTube, because I will have my review of Enshrouded done hopefully this week. We'll see if work doesn't put me in a grave first, but if I don't Infinity War dust away, it should be done by the end of this weekend.
Here we go. And yeah, the cave interview was a lot of fun. It
was great.
I love AGDQ, so it was really cool to hear behind the scenes stuff.
And as someone who doesn't watch a lot of speedruns, it was great to get the whole background information on how this whole thing happens. Like I got to see how the sausage was made, not just like, oh, they're on Twitch speedrunning, but the whole lead up to it was very cool.
Right on. Yeah, no, we appreciate everyone's time. I have an article that went out about a game called Immortal, which has been out, but it was out on the PlayStation. It was released in the past few weeks. And I'll be making a Persona video, but you already know my thoughts, so watch it anyway. But if you want to see more, youtube.com/3dadsandaconsole, you can watch us live Wednesdays at 8:00 p.m. Eastern, and also check us out at 3dadsconsole.com. Also, a reminder, if you're going to PAX East, let us know. We want to see you. We are all going. Me, Court, and Pez. So the 3 Caballeros, right? Good Disney movie. So go check it. Let us know. We'd love to hang out. And yeah, like Pez said, be good to each other. I guess you were mocking Springer. Also, Steve Wilkos still has a show.
No,
it hasn't wrapped up.
No shot.
You only said a game
word on the CW.
So it says 2007 to present. So he was a Marine from 82 to 89, a Chicago cop from 90 to 2002, director of security on the Jerry Springer show from 94 to 2007. So there's some overlap between him being a cop and a Springer security.
Doing Springer, yeah.
I don't know how he did that.
Know, you can't get all that OT. You can't get all that cross and guard OT. You know.
So yeah, it's still apparently still running.
On what channel?
Wikipedia. I don't know.
Oh man, I'm all about this. Steve Wilkos.
His show, I remember watching it because I was like, oh man, like this is gonna be good, and it's like heavy.
Yeah, it's terrible. it's like Jerry Springer and Dr. Phil like had a baby.
I will say this: one of my deepest regrets is never seeing Maury live. Maury Povich. I try to get my father-in-law to go. I try to get my brother-in-law to go. No one would go with me. I don't mind driving by myself to Stamford, Connecticut. You know where it was done, but
if only I met you 10 years ago, we could have went. They could have said, you are not the father. We could have jumped up.
I would practice. I would be like, boom! Like, dude, I was so good at it. So, you know, maybe we can head up to Steve Wilkos someday.
All right.
Or, hey, Court, I know you want to go to PAX and everything, but, like, we can go to this daytime television show instead.
You know, we could go to a video game convention, or we could boo, who even knows? I don't even know.
They could be scumbags, or they could be, you know, good people.
I can't even come up with the scenario of person that we could boo on the 13-year Steve Wilkos show.
Oh God! And then you'll see us with these just plain color shirts because you can't have any logos, or else they duct tape over.
Yeah, we'll just all wear black shirts. It'd be a sea of black shirts and white dudes.
Oh my gosh! Just that could be
booing like short people strippers or whatever.
That's what I want our legacy to be. No. Well, thank you for spending time with us. I know we talked games, I know we talked sports, and then we talked everything in between. I hope you have a great rest of your week.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week.
Yeah, shout out
We'll
Steve
miss you.
Wilkos.
That's say it back.
Yeah,
Bye.
say it back, Steve.